CFP Prime, Nino Brown. Bleacher Report gave their 5 with the most improved this year. Most improved this year? Well, Nino Brown's giving you his 5 with his most improved. CFP Prime, blow the damn whistle.
Some of you in the room right now, you are where you are, you're giving 60% when you have 120 in you. Why? Because you never made a decision. There's those of you in this room, you already there. Your problem is this is stuff you don't want to give up to go. Listen to me, pound for pound, any agent in the room, pound for pound, motivational speaker, pound for pound, entrepreneur, pound for pound, athlete, pound for pound, weightlifter, pound for pound, whatever you do, I guarantee you when you do it, nobody can do it like you do it. The problem is you don't hardly do it.
It's Nino Brown. We're going to be talking 5 quarterbacks that I believe got the most improved. Now, Bleacher Report dropped theirs, and they got some dudes out there, but it's kind of like chalk, right? DJU, Tyler Van Dyke, Devin Leary, Kevin Slovis. I believe it was 1 or 2 gentlemen on there. I'm going to give you a couple guys that you might not have thought of, but I think they got a lot to prove because it could be make or break for them at the next level. Right off the rip, I'm going to go out Hail State, Mississippi State, Willie Rodgers. Now, I'm a big fan of Willie Rodgers, my co-host on P2P, Boomer. He's a big fan. But we always wondered as to why he doesn't get enough love, enough hype. Right? Got a quick release. He can zip the ball in when needed. He can also add touch to deeper passes. He can move in the pocket to buy time. He's not a dual threat QB. He ain't going to be taking off running for, 30, 40 yards at a game. That's not happening. His ball placement is shaky, like he got a small case of Parkinson's. And he got Will Levis' confidence in his arm strength, but I don't know if he got the arm strength. Here's my thing. He's a short intermediate king. That's what I call him, right? He's intermediate king. He sails a lot of balls where wide receivers that are athletic seem to make up for it, but you're making your wide receivers work hard, all right? In 2020, he had 9 games. Nothing crazy. Close to 70%, 2,000 yards, 11 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Now, 2021 is when he came out and said, I'm here. Put it on the table, said, everybody look at me. This is his arm. He got the arm. Like, he could throw the ball for days. And back-to-back seasons over 600 attempts. But in 2021, he completed 505 passes. He attempted 683. My man damn near attempted 700 passes, okay? 73.9%. You good, man. 4,700 yards, 36 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. This put Willie Rodgers on the map. This is, what we're talking about, the quote-unquote air raid with Leach in that offense, right? So you think. We'll get to that in a second. Last year, 13 games. He completed 415 passes. He attempted 610. A little bit of a drop-off, 68% completion. The yardage went down, 39-74. Touchdowns right there, 35, and he had 1 less pick, all right? But this is where my eyes became open as I did my research. You watch some things, you watch games, you see he's got a couple passes out there throughout the game where he does throw a deep ball. But for 3 straight years, he's never passed a 7.0 ADOT. Its average depth of throw has never been past 7 yards, which means, in layman's terms, to you folks out there that don't really like to break things down, his receivers are doing the work. He's what my producer and my co-host, KT, would say, check down Charlie, okay? 3-4 yards, boom. 4-5 yards, boom. Like, he ain't sitting back there. He ain't chucking the ball around like Caleb. He ain't chucking the ball around like Bo, right? But he got numbers. But his wide receivers are doing the work for him, which is no problem. It's fine. But you need a redemption. You got to prove that you can do it. You got to prove that you can do it in a new offense or a modified offense because God rest his soul, Mike Leach ain't there. And this is your time to shine. You need this. You need a year, okay? Put yourself in a position. Make some big-time throws because you don't have any type of, Stephon Marbury jiggling him down on half court, making a big 3. Like, you ain't putting – you're big time throw percentage has never passed 4%. Last year alone, it was 2.2. We can't have that. And at the next level, that's not it. For those numbers, it's like a smokescreen. So Willie Rodgers, I believe, especially because this is a blow the whistle moment. The fact that they brought in Mike Wright from Vanderbilt. You have a dude who's been over 68% completion in 3 years as a starter at Mississippi State, and you went to the portal to bring in a quarterback who had been a starter at Vandy. That's a blow the whistle moment. So I believe Willie Rodgers is number one on my QBs who has something to prove in 2023. Now this one kind of gets me hot a little bit. And I had to bring him up because everybody's on this Pittsburgh Panthers ACC train as if all of a sudden they drop down a whole team of 5 stars and they're just going to run through everybody. And I don't understand because you're now looking at your third quarterback in 3 years, right? Yeah, Kenny Pickett, who went on the NFL. You had the how do I want to call this? And the lift man and Caden Slovis, who just takes a lift from one team to the next team to the next team. He's on his third team as well. And now you got Philly J, Mr. Phil Jurkovec. Now I seen Philly, so I got Boston guy. I watched Philly up close and personal for 3 years. Okay, got a high QB IQ. He's mobile enough in the pocket to extend the play. He ain't dual threat. Okay, he got good pop on the ball. Got some zip. He's another guy that's accurate on the short and intermediate routes where guys like Zay Flowers made him look better than what he was. All right. He's better than Will Rodgers in that aspect. You know, he averaged around a 9.5, average depth of throw. It was 2 years where he was above 12. So we'll take that. But listen, his back foot throws, Mr. Fade back and throw it off your back foot, it's going to kill him every time. And when things don't necessarily go right or to script, he's out there with his chicken with his head cut off. I feel like, the calm, cool Phil just goes to poo real quick when things don't go right. Right now, he was at Notre Dame, and he's a former 4-star from Pine Richland High School in Pennsylvania. So he's back home, right? But 2 years Notre Dame, he didn't do much, buddy. 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, and then you transferred to BC. And you came in like a hot fire, okay? 10 games, 61%. You threw 205 completions out of 336 attempts, almost 2,600 yards, 17 touchdowns, 5 picks. Numbers were good. I was liking Philly, okay? Then we had the shortened season, 6 games, 54.2%, less than 1,000 yards, only threw 7 touchdowns, threw 4 picks. TD ratio is too close to me. Don't like it. Last year, you came in with a little bit of a chip on your shoulder, had an attitude. I don't think it worked out the best for you. You had it, dude. You got injured. Okay, Zay Flowers was still there. You managed to only throw 1,700 yards in the 8 games, less than 60% completion, 11 touchdowns, 8 picks. You knew that, Moorhead was breathing down your neck, and you decided you wanted to go home, hit the portal, and go to Pittsburgh, which is fine, cool. And now Pittsburgh's getting hyped. So in my eyes, you're the leader of the team, and they're getting hyped. I need to see a 2020 year from you. I need to see 26, 27, possibly 3,000 yards. I need to see 20 touchdowns. I need to see you in a 65% completion bracket. You need to do this. If Pittsburgh's to be put on the map like they're saying they're going to be put on the map this year, then you need to be the catalyst of this offense. And that's what I need to see from Phil Jurkovec. Now, can he do that? I don't know. We've seen flashes of above average great games from Phil, and then we've seen dumpster games from Phil. But once again, if all this hype about Pittsburgh is real, then Philly got to live up to it. And he's going to have a year. So that's my second guy who I think's got a lot to prove. Now, another guy I think's got a lot to prove. He just been living in the moment, up and down like a roller coaster. That's going to be Spencer Rattler out of South Carolina. Right. 6'1", 215 max. Okay, little guy. He's a former 5-star, Pinnacle High School. We all know. I mean, unless you live under a rock and you watch college football, we all know he was the dude in the QB1 Netflix series, and he lived up to the 5-star, recruitability when he came in 2020. He can throw it all over the field. He got excellent ball placement. He can make the back shoulder throw. He can make it beautifully, but then he can make it look like he's his first time throwing the ball. He's got great arm strength. He's played in the SEC offense, Big 12 offense. He can throw wide receivers open, and then he can throw it 6 yards away from the wide receiver downfield. And we've seen that in that 2021 season when he got benched. Got benched, mind you, okay? He had never thrown in a game in those 7 games that he played. He started 7 games, played 2 games of mop-up duty for Caleb. Caleb came and took over. But, he never passed the ball for more than 7 yards per throw in any of those games. His average depth of throw was 7 yards. Something wasn't right. And then that Texas game, that was the end of it. The pick, 2 picks, just it did him in. He's mentally was. He was throwing deep balls that weren't even this is the worst I had seen as deep ball, and that was in 2020. But when he burst onto the scene in 2020, he lived up to the 5-star status, right? 67% completion, 3,000 yards, 28 touchdowns, 7 picks. He ran for 160 yards. He had 6 touchdowns as well, right? He had an average yards per attempt of 9.6. This dude was just ready to chuck the ball around, and he did that. He was freshman newcomer of the year. He was Big 12 newcomer of the year. He was the dude. It's how fast college football can change for you is in the blink of an eye. You went from 2020 being the guy to 2021 being booed, benched, and hitting the portal. And then you hit South Carolina. And it didn't really look too hot to start. But down the stretch, my man caught lightning in the bottle, and things started to start clicking for Spencer Rattler. Okay, those last 4 weeks, I'm going to read off to you. Vandy, he was 70% completion, 209 yards, 3 touchdowns. Had a game against Florida, and it was sandwiched in there. Then at Tennessee, okay, astute team last few years. 80.6% completion for 433 yards, 6 touchdowns. They were never out of that game. It was a shootout back and forth. He never allowed them to not be in that game. And then the following week against Clemson, he was 63%, 360 yards, 2 touchdowns. This was the Spencer Rattler that everybody wanted to see. He was rolling, okay? Now, if he can piggyback off that and bring that to fruition for this season, oh boy. Because last season he finished with 66% completion, 3,000 yards. He had 18 touchdowns, 12 picks, and 3 rushing touchdowns. He got a guy in Juice Wells, lightning in a bottle, okay? I know they lost Jaheim Bell, who was a safety blanket for him. They used him everywhere last year. But Spencer Rattler seems like he's transitioning in the right direction. Everything's starting to look better for him. Everything's starting to get clear for him. He hit the clear eye, dry eye, and now it's all beautiful and clear. Almost like he got LASIK. He can see the field better. I think Beamer got him in the right spot. I think he's mentally in the right spot. I'm hearing out of camp, he's got a quick fire cannon release, tweaked his mechanics a little bit. I think piggybacking off those way he ended those last 4 weeks of the season, I think Spencer Rattler needs, a proven season in a class where there's a lot of QB depth. He needs to put himself into that top 5 QB. A big year. The SEC of South Carolina and Spencer Rattler can put him up there. Now, in 2020, he had a PFF grade of 90. And it's just each year has gone down. Okay. 2021 was 86.1 when he got benched, right? He was accurate with the short passes. Deep balls were bad, and he just mentally was everywhere. And then last year was 67.6. But if you just look at that, you say, well, that's a terrible season. If you split the season in half, second half of the season, Spencer Rattler was a dude. I think Spencer Rattler can have a bounce back season. I think Spencer Rattler can drive his draft stock up. I don't know if it'll ever be as high as it was coming in, but I think he can get a rebound. I think he's got a lot to prove. That's QB3. QB4 for me. You guys all know I'm not a fan of Joe Milton, okay? But I believe Joey Milton has a ass ton to prove in 2023, right? He's 6'5", 245 pounds. He is a monster of a man who has a nutsack the size of the Empire State Building. Nothing affects this man. He will sit in the pocket. You can fly by him. It does not matter. Okay, he's got a quick release. He shows good accuracy on shorter throws. When on the move, you know, it's different. He got a big arm, but can he be accurate? I've seen, we've all seen the videos of him hitting the golf cart 85 yards downfield. I've seen big throws when he came in garbage time, right? Hitting square away multiple times downfield. But I've also seen him throw, like in that Vandy game, 6 yards out of bounds, so a guy was wide open in the end zone. Okay, he's an athlete, pure athlete. He plays with extreme confidence and has athleticism to move out of the pocket and create either more space, create more time for the play. His athleticism is through the roof. It has some Anthony Richardson athleticism-esque to him, okay? His pre-snap recognition skills to read defenses and see blitzes. I don't know if it's weak sauce or, like I said, if he's got the cojones of He-Man. Because I've seen a couple plays, one against Vanderbilt. Man, the linebacker was coming straight unblocked, and the running back had to cross over Joey Milton. And last second, that running back picked up the block, or Joey Milton was picking up his teeth. And he stood still, didn't even blink, and delivered a strike downfield and caught the first down on a fourth down play, mind you. So, yeah, he got good pocket presence. He got good confidence. He has a huge strong arm. But there's just what Joey Milton are we going to get? And that's my question. It's always been my question. And I know they're driving, the Joey Milton Heisman up there. They're driving the Joey Milton hype train. Angry Blue Bird will make you think that Joey Milton was the greatest thing since sliced bread. But at Michigan, where he came in as a four-star recruit out of Olympia High School, in 7 games, in 2 years that he was there, 57.8% completion, 2,500 yards, 17 touchdowns, 6 picks. Okay. He came over in 2021 in the portal to be the guy for the Vols and got beat out for the job by another transfer in Hendon Hooker from Virginia Tech. But in them 8 games that he did have some spot play, a couple starts, 32 for 62, 51.6% completion, 375 yards, 2 touchdowns. There was no starting. That was my correction. 8 games of cleanup duty. Okay. And then in 2022, he played 9 games. He had 2 starts. Hendon Hooker got hurt. He went down. Numbers look good. Okay. There are some numbers on here that I do like. 64% completion, 971 yards, right? 10 touchdowns, no picks. Love that. Love the 11.8 yards per attempt. Love the 14.3 air yards per attempt. Okay. Love the game against Clemson in the second start. 19 for 28, 68%, 251 yards, 3 touchdowns. But then I get nervous when I see the numbers and when I watch the film from the Vandy game because he was so Katy Perry. He was hot and he was cold. He 11 21, 53%, 147 yards and a touchdown. He missed a wide open touchdown. Okay, that was the wheel route that I'm talking about. He lied him 3 wide. The outside guy cut inside, double move. Nobody was supposed to go for the first route. The second move, he was wide open. If you lead him with the ball, he's wide open middle of the field. Boom. But the guy on the inside, the wide receiver on the inside, there's a wheel route on the cross to the outside. After 3 yards, he'd already have his man beat. All Joey Milton had to do was just loft it down the hash, but follow the numbers to the end zone, guide him to the back corner, touchdown. Easy. Wide open. The wide receiver to the left side put his hands up, thought it was a touchdown. Joey Milton threw the ball 6 yards outside past the white. Again, another play with Joey Milton. Like I said, he stayed in there, took that hit on the fourth down. Beautiful. And then you're like, oh, okay. But then you get plays where you see his athleticism. Defensive end's coming in. He spins out, rolls out to the left side, right? The DB and the safety converge. Boom. Joey Milton's big body stands in there, ready to take the hit. Realize I can just loft the ball to this guy. Would have been easy 6. I don't know if he gets nervous. I don't know if his hand was wet. He threw a Tim Wakefield knuckleball. Ball went out of bounds. Wide receiver didn't even touch it. So 2 plays went from 6 to 0. This is my issue with Joey Milton. You just don't know what you're getting. If he can put it together, and I'm not a Milton guy, but if it somehow hype gets him to start clicking, Joey Milton could have an Anthony Richardson type rise in this year's draft class. Let's get to my last guy. This has been fun. Last guy I got is a transfer. Georgia Tech. 6'4", 210 pounds, former four-star recruit from Sandalwood High School. That's Jeff Sims. Jeff Sims is in a good position. He's in Nebraska, okay? Underneath, a guy who knows everything college football, has great success, Matt Rule. And I say that I believe Jeff Sims has a must-prove-it year because Jeff Sims really hasn't blossomed yet. And it may be because of where he was and the type of offense that they run. But now you're coming to offense that has a lot of weapons. A coach that knows how to use these weapons. A coach that knows how to coach college football and get the best out of his players. A coach that just pretty much wins where he goes in college football. But Jeff Sims got good ball placement, right? That's his strength. His natural instincts make plays when forced. He can improvise on the fly. He's a natural athlete, right? Pure athlete, loose limber, flexible, got speed to pick up yards. He can sit in the pocket and throw the ball, right? But he gets jiggy, right, in scramble situations. He sees the field well and it breaks down, and he's good at switching the play at the line. He lacks the zip on the ball. Right? He ain't got that pop. That thing ain't coming out and just you ain't hearing it off the ball. No receivers that come and say, "Oof, that one stung a little bit." Right? His decision making needs to improve on the pre-snap recognition, and I need to see a little more progression as you're going through. All right. In 3 years, he hasn't thrown the ball for more than 2,000 yards. All right. He hasn't completed more than 60% of his passes. Now, 21, it was COVID year. 22, he only played 7 games, got hurt. Okay. Last year, 7 games, 1,100 yards, 58.5% completion. I'm sorry. 1,115 yards. Yeah. 5 touchdowns, 3 picks, 87 rush yards. All right. 1 touchdown. The previous year, 60% completion, 1,400 yards, 12 touchdowns. He had 307 yards rushing, 4 touchdowns. And then there was this, the come out party for Jeff Sims, Georgia Tech. It was in 2020, 10 games, almost 2,000 yards, 13 touchdowns, but he threw 13 picks. You see this, that's not a number that you want to see. You can't go 50-50. He had almost 500 yards rushing and 6 touchdowns. Now, his average depth of throw, even though he's not a big number guy, it's right around 9. So you compare him and Will Rodgers on the average depth of throw. Sims isn't check down Charlie, but Sims is also not a, big time throw guy either. I mean, he averages about 4% big time throw. Last year was terrible, 2.6. So I'm hoping, and I think this is the system for him, where Jeff Sims comes in to Nebraska behind a team that has a strong run game. It will set up a play action, utilize Sims for what his abilities are. Hey, we've seen many quarterbacks get drafted that we didn't think would, and we've seen many quarterbacks have a year that boosted their draft stock that got them to the show. Jeff Sims needs to have a prove-it season for me. Those are my 5 QBs that I believe have to have a big 2023, a prove-it year. And if they do have a prove-it year, each one of these guys is a viable candidate to possibly, top 10 quarterback this year in the draft class. I'm Nino Brown. This is CFE Prime. Shh. Blow the damn whistle.